Okay, this is a demonstration of the Big Top Tent Rental Records Management System. What you're looking at here is the main dashboard. When you log in, you will get a look at all active quotes that are in the system. Below that will be all those quotes that have been turned from a quote to an invoice, and then below that you'll have all invoices that have been paid. So this will be the landing page, it'll be the front page. What you'll also have here is on the left hand side you have a list of all customers, and this will have a complete list of customers. You can use this magnifying glass, and that will do a quick text search, and it will bring up every customer that matches your text string. So you can search by phone number, by company name, by contact name, whatever information you have on this screen, you would be able to do a search for it. Some of the things that I put in here is total amount of money paid by this customer, the balance owing if this customer owes any money, the last time an invoice was rendered for this customer, and the last payment that was received by this customer. We could put anything in particular that you'd like on this page. This is just something to get us started with. Once you get all of your customers in there, it'll start to make more sense to you. And then this here brings us back to the quote section. So let's talk about getting customers in. So you log in, you have a new customer, you just hit here, sorry, wrong one, log back in, you go into the customer registry here, you open it up and you add a customer. So it's a good idea and it's a good habit when you are adding customers not to duplicate customers. So it's always a good habit is when you open this, search for the customer's name first to make sure that they're not a previous customer of yours, and that's going to go a long way when it comes to record keeping. But in this case we don't have this customer, so what we'll do is we'll hit add customer here, and you just simply fill out the customer's detail. I'll just refresh that again. So you fill out the customer's information, first name, last name, email address. If it's a corporate account, click that. It will then ask you for the company name. You can put in the company information, then this would be the contact person for the company, the email. Address 1, 2. We're going to remove this apartment because it's not required. We're going with address 1, address 2. Province and state will have this defaulted to Nova Scotia. Right now I figured it's probably relevant because some of the billing that you might do might be out of state, so, or out of the province, so I'll just leave that for now. We can decide later. Zip code here, this is the postal code of the zip code, and again the rest of the information. And then this is some of that details that we were showing you on the front screen. So you go ahead, you have that customer, and then you just hit save and back, and that will put that individual into your database, and it would look something like this. So now you have them in the database. You can see this will show us the history of this customer. It'll show us all the previous invoices that we have had, totals, taxes. It will calculate the provincial tax, total amount of the invoice, the amounts, payments received. We can right click on these columns here and hit a total. That'll total right there what was received, and then here's the balance owing on each particular invoice. So there's the balance owing. We can save this to keep that information there. So that's a quick overview here of the status of this customer. So let's talk about issuing a quote. So again, if we log in, we're in the system here, we go to a customer registry, we're going to do a new customer, we search for the customer, we find the customer's name. Now we want to do an invoice or a quote. We click here. This brings us to the invoice quote section. It's marked as a quote. I can easily change it to an invoice. That then changes it to an invoice. I can print the invoice, but for this purpose, we're going to leave it as a quote. So this is the invoice billing information, site location. We just do a same as. If it's not that address here, then you would be just typing in the address here. Let's go. So we put in that address there. Now we put in the proposed pickup dates. So we're going to do on the 22nd and then we'll do the 25th. So this is a 2-day rental. Again, you don't do a 2-day rental. You would change that to the 26th. That'll give us a 3-day rental, so a Friday. So in this particular case, you're putting in the setup days. Okay, so we're setting this up on Friday. We're picking it up on Tuesday, which means they're paying for the Saturday, Sunday, Monday, which is the 3-day rental. So it's a pickup on a Friday, or drop off on a Friday, pick up on a Tuesday. It's a 3-day rental, and then it's a question of what are we renting. So if you type in, just start typing in 70. I did a mingling here of 70. It comes up. It shows me this is what the customer is looking for, and that's going to be a 3-day rental. That will calculate the daily rate and then multiply that out and then bring that down to the total. If there's a delivery setup charge that you indicate, you just add the delivery charge in there, and that is your quote. So now with this, we're just simply going to hit save, and there's our quote that we're going to want to send out to the customer. So we hit print quote, and there is the quote and what that would look like in a printed format. We do a print preview. There's the customer quote. We print these backgrounds in gray to kind of help with the papering. You know, if you have paper lying around the office, the gray helps differentiate the quoting documentation versus the invoice documentation. So we're going to close this, show you what that would look like if that was an invoice. Quite simply is just editing it now. This has been approved, customers okayed it. You're now going to change it to an invoice. You see it now changes to an invoice. Nothing else needs to change here. So we're going to save that information. Now we're going to print this out as an invoice. You see now it turns blue. We got the information here. And we then can print that invoice out, print it as a PDF if you want, and then email to the customer, or however you distribute your invoices. So now we have that information there, and it's just a question of now tracking this and getting payment on this. So if you do get a payment right away and you got this with the payment, you want to add a deposit on this. There's a couple of ways you can do that. One would be adding the payment down here. The other one could be adding a payment here. So there's a number of ways to get in there, but we'll do it this way here. It's going to take the full amount that's owing, the $715, but we're not going to take that. We're going to say we're going to take a $200 deposit, and that's going to be cash. Put that down as a deposit, hit save and back, and that's going to show the $200 payment with a $515 balance owing. So for $715, and then there's that record down below showing you received a cash payment on this date, totaling $200. The balance owing on this account is $515, and then however you process your payments. So if this was something that you would have received a check in the mail or something like that, if you have the invoice number or you know what the invoice is, here we happen to know it's this invoice here. We can show the invoice number as well. So there's the invoice number. We can bang this out. So there it is. So the invoice comes in. We have it. We want to process this payment of $750, or that was the total amount of the invoice, but we want to process the total payment. So let's see if we can show that column there, the balance owing. There we go. Auto adjust, exclude the label. So there it shows the balance owing on this invoice here, $515, which matches the payment we received. So now we can add that payment just straight from the screen. Straight from the screen, $515. We've got that check number. If you'd like to record that, hit save and back. And what that's going to do is that's going to now show a balance owing of here. It's also going to put it down here as a full balance or a paid account. It's all paid here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take it out of this one here so that it doesn't show up in this once it's paid. And to do that, I just simply edit the report here. And I'm going to add a condition on here that says that the balance owing is greater than 0. And then what this is going to do is the balance owing on that account is in fact 0. So the fact that it's 0, this will filter it off So if I hit save here, you'll see that that will be gone from that report, and you can see that invoice that had a balance on it and moved it down into the paid invoice section here. A couple of other things that you can manage in this would be going to the quote invoice and then click on the calendar. What the calendar is going to do is it's going to show you anything that's in red would indicate that these items are ready for pickup or have passed. Anything that shows up in green would be future business, so you have to drop off. There's that one for 41 Fraser Street. Information there. You can click on any one of these and it will give you more detail. So if I click there, it would show me what information I need to drop off there. So as you can tell, there's limited information in terms of what kind of space you have here. I can show you the street name. I can show you perhaps maybe the item itself, but it would be challenging to get any more than one or the other, either the address or the item itself. I could create another calendar that you could look at, maybe two calendars. One would show you the name, the address you're going to, and then the other calendar could probably show you the tent or the item that you're delivering there. So we can talk about that. And again, clicking here brings you back to the main page. Also clicking here would bring you back to the main page. Customer registry again shows you all your customers. Add a new customer there. Sticking on the quotes and invoice. It's a good habit that when you do get these invoices, to make sure that you change a quote after an invoice has been generated. So when the customer approves the quote, to just simply go ahead and customize that, and then you can change that from the status from a quote down to an invoice. And by doing that, save and back, that's going to take that one off of here and move that down into the invoice section.